So again, the facts aren't matching up. You can't have more than two-thirds of these people become American citizens and then say that more than half of them haven't achieved a good grasp of the English language.
That's a fact. I didn't make that up. That's a fact. I looked it up.
But then how could more than two-thirds of them become American citizens?
Don't know. Maybe they had translators.
Both of those things can't be true.
It is true. It is true. I'm not like making up numbers.
There's a conversation to be had.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Welcome to another episode of the Conversation to be Had podcast. I'm your host, Chalo. That's Rashawn.
What's going on, world? What's going on?
All right, we're going to continue the conversation today with more immigration talk. Trump has gave a little couple speeches about, how he feels about the immigration situation. I thought we'd take a look at just one instance and, go from there.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Somalia, which is barely a country, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country. I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody say, "Oh, that's not politically correct." I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, "Let's go, come on, let's make this place great." These are people that do nothing but complain. They come.
Well,
I swear to God, this man
the
talks.
gist of it.
This man talks at a third grade level, brother. How many times he say the word garbage, man? Like, get it to source, bro. Get it to
I
source.
can't lie though, man. I might be with him. Let's
Oh,
yeah, I might be with him. Let's bring the panel in and see what they think.
all right.
Let's go.
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Hey,
How you
Rashawn.
doing, guys?
Hey guys, what's good?
We got the doc with us, Dr. O'Dilly, blessing us with his presence tonight. Nancy,
Hello.
and Jim. How's it going?
Yes, not bad.
Right. So you guys heard the comments, the little video we played at the beginning. Do you think he went a little bit far, or is he right on track, or what's your thoughts? We know what your thoughts are, Rashawn. So let's go, Jim. We'll come to you last.
What?
Let's go, Jim.
What would your definition of right on track be? He's on track.
I mean, does he have a point? I mean, even though, let's keep it a buck. The rhetoric is out.
Yeah,
The rhetoric is outrageous, but
I don't think you'll be surprised to hear me say that's vile. Like, when he says they're garbage and their country stinks for a reason, that's an attack on a country, a population, and ethnicity. That's just, it's as blatant as any world leader has been in a century or so.
okay. What about you, Nancy?
I don't care for the way he says the things he says. I think he bases his opinion on a whole slew of people based on his knowledge of a handful of people, and And I don't think, in this case, it's just really not fair to a lot of the Somalians in the country. I didn't like what he said at all.
Okay. Dot?
I'm torn between trying to decide if this is all agenda and he's just saying what he's saying to achieve the agenda, or if this is senility and dementia, just allowing true inner thoughts, the inside voice, allowing the inside voice to leak out. So it's going to be some type of mixture of those two. Not sure which one is outweighing the other, but definitely a combination of both.
Sean.
I'm able to talk now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You, man.
No, man. I mean, Trump to me is just showing who he's always been, man. I'm gonna say that rhetoric is blatantly racist, in my opinion. The way he's talking about the Somalians, the way he talks about anybody that's not white coming into this country. They're all garbage in his mind. This isn't something that's new. This is par for the course for him. I also think this is all part of his agenda. I mean, just look at his new national security strategy and the whole Project 2025. I mean, this is all things that could have been predicted well in advance, and he's just doubling down on it to, incite his base. This is what they want to hear. This is the type of language that they love. And so, yeah, man, I believe that it's blatantly racist, and he's absolutely reprehensible for saying the words that he's been saying.
Okay. His rhetoric is blatant, but like I said, is he telling the truth? Like, and when I ask that, what I mean is, I could get through all the mumbo jumbo, and basically what he's saying is, in my opinion, that he doesn't want Somalians or people of that, from that place coming over here because they're not like people from different countries that actually contribute to our society, is what he's saying. I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm saying that's what he's saying. He's like the majority. What he's basically saying is the majority of the Somalians that come over here are not contributors to our society. That's his opinion. That's what he's saying. So he doesn't feel like he wants a bunch of them to come over. He'd rather a bunch of people from other countries, if you're going to come over here, you have something to contribute to society, whether it be like, engineers, doctors. That's I think, like, I could read past the mumbo jumbo. That's what he's saying. The way he's saying it is really crazy, but I think that's what he's trying to say, in my opinion. So
I think that,
and just one more point. Mm-hmm. And with him being in his position that he's in, you really wouldn't want Somalia's worst to come over here. That's a no-brainer. Like, I don't want your criminals, and, like, to be honest with you, I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that, but what I'm saying is, like, when I think Somalia, is like I told you the other day, I think of the pirate on the boat when he told Tom Hanks, this is our boat now. That when you say Somalia, that automatically clicks in my head. Like, that's what I think about. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that's right or anything like that, but it's just the truth. That's what I think about. Was it Captain Tom, or what was the name of that movie?
I forget the name of the movie, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but that's what I think about. Like, so when it's kind of it's kind of a mind thing, because, like, when he's saying that, it's an S-hole and then I got the pirates in my mind. Like, I don't really disagree. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't disagree. Like, I wouldn't want the pirates coming over here either.
But
and I know the whole country isn't pirates. Exactly. That's I'm saying, but I'm just trying to tell you. I'm trying to logicalize it and not make it seem so crazy and outrageous. But I'm just, with some common sense thinking.
This is how his rhetoric and immigration policy works, though. Like, immigration policy should work in we don't want the worst of them over here. that's a perfectly reasonable immigration policy. We don't want your murderers and rapists and gangsters. Fine.
Mhm.
But the way that he frames his immigration policy, and he's doing the same thing with Somalians that he's done with Haitians and some other populations, is that he says, we don't want your criminals and murderers and rapists. And then he tries to convince you that that's the country. that the entire country is the nightmare pirate that you were imagining. Same with the Haitians. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. And I don't think that 88% welfare figure is correct, but don't quote me on that. But that's how his immigration policy works, is that he wants to take that perfectly logical immigration policy and then broad brush the entire country or continent with it.
Yeah, and you say that because that was one of my questions that I had wrote down. Was like, is he just putting a broad stroke on the whole, Somalian population?
Sorry to ruin that, but
yeah, that was one of my questions. Yeah, like, are we painting with a real broad brush here, or
well,
is there some kind of truth to it?
Yeah, that's what bothers me, is the broad brush, because I mean, there's really not a large Somalian population in the United States. There's really not a large amount. I don't disagree with him that we want to vet these certain countries who are in total disarray and crazy turmoil, and you have groups like ISIS and other terrorist groups engaging in those countries to a large degree. So yeah, I do think vetting is extremely important and something you really need to do. We also have to consider the majority of them who are coming over. They're coming over because they're in dire straits. They don't have anything. So they are going to be needy. And he doesn't want needy people. That's part of his thing. He doesn't want needy people coming. He wants people who are going to come here and be ready to contribute to the United States and make it go right away, help fuel it. But we have always taken people refugees from countries who are in dire need. And I don't think Somalia should be an exception. We probably have about 250,000 Somalians in the country. They have a very high naturalization percentage. They have become U.S. citizens to a large degree. They basically, anytime any group comes over, it takes them at least 2 to 3 generations to get up into the regular average of what people are doing and being successful. So you got to give them a chance. They're lagging behind other groups, but there are reasons for that. Part of it is they're coming from a place with a civil war, and they weren't educated in their own country, so they're behind in education. So that's a big problem. But there are things that can be done to help all these things. I don't like the brush that he's putting these people under. I don't agree with it. I think there's probably as many wonderful Somalian people as any other group, and there are a few bad ones, but you cannot judge the whole on the few bad.
You got to say, Doc?
I think the stuff he's saying just doesn't match up with the numbers. Like she was saying, the large majority of people who have immigrated here from Somalia have passed the citizenship test and gone through the process. They waited in line the 7 to 10 years that you're supposed to. They paid the $600-800 fees you got to pay to take the test and fill out the paperwork. They've become citizens. So when the facts don't match the rhetoric, then it's agenda. So it's all designed to subvert the country's attention away from the things that are really happening, to sort of pull at emotional strings, really using fear as the motivator to achieve, the agenda, the Project 2025 agenda, the underlying agenda, everything that he wants to do to try to stay in power as long as possible and to keep control of everything else, keep his base happy.
Yeah, and I completely agree. There's an agenda, and like you said, Project 2025, and then he also has that new, they call it the Monroe document, like the Monroe document. It's his national security strategy, and the whole thing is kind of about warning, like the rest of the world. Like the agenda is that we need to worry about immigrants taking over the West, Europe. They need to cultivate resistance to the the influx of immigrants that are coming on. So it's like a worldwide thing, and so that's what he's kind of framing this as now. To where like it's not just us, it's the West, and they're invading everywhere, and it's becoming a us versus them. And like you said, it's an agenda. This is an agenda, and I believe this agenda is very deeply rooted in a lot of racism, and that's kind of my opinion on that. To be honest with you,
it's definitely racist. I don't know. I'm not saying he's not, but I don't know if he's like overly like he's doing it to be racist, but it is 100%. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if he's intentionally like I'm gonna be racist on this, but it is racist because, and I'm let me tell you why. Because I'm just listening to him talk. And so you're saying, okay, we don't want people from asshole countries coming over here because, like Nancy said, if they're not going to contribute, why should we, bring them over here and let them, suck up our resources, right? But these countries that he's talking about are predominantly people of color, which your Haiti and your Somalia and stuff like that. And then on the flip side of that, then you ask the question, well, why can't we get people from Denmark and Switzerland? And I mean, he named all these like, Viking countries. And I'm thinking to myself, like, do you really not understand? You just listed like all the Viking countries, all the like pure European, like, what did you just... Do you understand I don't think he understands what he's saying sometimes. I'm going to be honest.
He's looking at successful countries who don't have certain issues compared to those who are poverty stricken. They have a lot of crime. They have a lot of problems. And that's what he's looking at. And unfortunately, in the cases that he's bringing up, like Haiti and Somalia, they happen to be Black people or brown people, whatever. And the other ones, they happen to be
super white. Like you don't get any whiter than that. Blonde hair, blue eye, like super white. Like he's Sweden, Denmark. I mean, like how much higher up in the Alps are you gonna go, bro? Like I was sitting there like.
But what's even crazier is that these people have no motivation to come here. I mean, they're some of the happiest nations where they're at now. You know what I mean? Like
you're talking about countries that are poverty stricken with crime. I'm like, America's poverty stricken.
Exactly.
In certain areas, not everywhere.
Yeah,
more areas than Norway, Sweden, and Denmark.
Well, no, I understand that. That's why but we have been immigrating. We've been bringing people in, right? We've been bringing people in who are poor, and he's attributing that to that. I'm not saying that I don't think we should have these people come in. I think everybody deserves a chance, but I do think you need to manage the immigration and how many you bring in, and you do have to manage it. But I don't agree with not allowing people to come here because of it, and I don't like the way he talks.
The Irish came in poor.
All the immigrants. No, I know that. I understand. I'm not saying that they didn't.
Managed.
But when the Irish came in, they didn't get benefits. They didn't get the country taking care of them. When the Irish came in back in the 1800s, nobody got benefits. Nobody got anything. It's a different world now. You can't compare it in that aspect of it. You either swam or you sunk,
Well, you got off the boat and got signed to the military to fight the South, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally different
A point I would make here is
situation.
that hilariously, the countries he's mentioning, like, why aren't we getting people from Norway and Sweden and Denmark? Because they run Nordic socialist economies that you don't. They don't need to come here. Secondly, man, I had one other one and I lost it. It'll come back to me. Don't worry.
But yeah,
So
yeah. I
yes,
mean,
if,
I don't think he understands how racist that is. I mean,
Oh yes,
I think he was thinking in terms how Nancy just said it. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's how he was thinking. But
Right.
like when you put that
Yeah.
out there, dude, like
Not
when
even
you
that.
say it,
Yeah.
the contrast, you're looking at the contrast, like, whoa, dude, what are you, what are you
It-
talking about? You like, wow.
it
Go ahead,
it
Jeff.
did come back to me, and it is kind of the point of like how the racism is represented. Usually, like we're very used to kind of clownish representations of racism, of just like shouting the N-word and stuff like that. The racism that you see come into the political system is usually a lot more, not a lot more subtle, but more subtle, where they are talking about people not being cultural fits, which is something that you can hear like Elon Musk say, and casting that kind of broad brush on like cultures and people. So it's not like Stephen Miller is going to show up on your television and say that we've got to get those dirty Somalians out of here, although Trump would say that. But they will say it's a bad country, they have bad people, they're not a cultural fit. So it's not that like overt white hoods thing that you're kind of used to as the representation of racism, but it's still racism and it's still white nationalism.
Yeah.
Of course, you know me, I'm probably not going to totally agree with that. But I do think the thing is assimilation. But I think what part of the problem that is going on nowadays is we don't give people time to assimilate. It takes time for people to assimilate. It takes a couple generations. When the Irish came, since we brought up the Irish, they were white, but they certainly faced terrible discrimination as well. I mean, they were treated very badly. And same thing with the Italians when the Italians came over, so I don't think it's necessarily racism. I think it's a new group of people with different cultural views and different religions and different things that it takes time for people to. Not only does it take time for them to assimilate into our country, it takes time for the people who are already here, used to things being a certain way, adjusting to all these groups of people who are very different. And I think that's a natural human reaction to things, is to take a little time for everybody to get used to it. I think this has been a problem with the United States forever, where groups have come over and they're different, whether they be white, brown, yellow, or whatever color they are. It always took time for them to be able to assimilate and to be accepted into the country. And I don't think this is any different. I don't like the language that's being used because it is very demeaning to people who don't deserve it. I mean, they're just people trying to live a life. They become citizens here. They are working. They are on the poorer end of the schedule, and they're not as advanced in assimilating financially as other groups like the Vietnamese, what was the other group? There was another group as well that they're behind them in as far as they're getting economically, but there are reasons for that. And he mentioned how they're not contributing. There's reasons they can't contribute to the same degree as some other groups who have come here. And part of that is they come from a war-torn country. They have a lack of education, and they still haven't learned the language. It's like over 50% of them still don't have a strong command of the English language, and you really need to if you're going to succeed.
I would just say incredibly quickly that when you say you don't like the language being used, a lot of the language being used, like I said, saying that people are not cultural fits or that they can't fit into Western society, is language that is used by prominent white nationalists, open ones. Like David Duke has said these things for decades.
So again, the facts aren't matching up. You can't have more than 2/3 of these people become American citizens and then say that more than half of them haven't achieved a good grasp of the English language.
That's a fact. I didn't make that up. That's a fact. I looked it up.
But then how could more than 2/3 of them become American citizens?
Don't know. Don't know. Maybe they had translators.
Both of those things can't be true.
It is true. It is true. I'm not like making up numbers.
They both can't be true. The subsets have to be different. You can't talk about a population and say half of them don't speak good English and then say that 88% of them, your numbers, have become naturalized citizens.
Do they get translators when they do their citizenship test? Do you know that? Do you know? I don't know, but I'm telling you, I got these numbers. I'm not pulling numbers out of the air.
So we can look it up. Let's look it up.
Yeah, somebody look it up, because I'm not pulling these. I'm not making them up, and I'm not looking at conservative news sources either. I mean, these are just factual numbers.
No, it's all good. No,
statistical.
No, I got you. I know you look things up, Nancy. I'm not worried about it. You're my favorite nitpicker. No, Nancy nitpicks me, man. That's what I call her. She's my favorite nitpicker, man. She always gets me. But no, so I found that it says, according to the U.S. Census and American Community Survey data, it says roughly 60 to 65% of Somali immigrants speak English very well or well. About 10 to 15% speak little or no English, with the highest proportion among older adults and recent arrivals, which makes sense. You know what I mean? Younger Somali immigrants and second generation Somali Americans generally have a higher English proficiency, often near full fluency. So it sounds like, about 10 to 15% would fall under what you're kind of saying to me, Nancy, that they don't know the language. The 10 to 15, they speak little or no English, which would kind of line up with the fact that 80% of them, the 85% are actual natural citizens. Those numbers would make sense to me then. You know what I mean? If it's 10 to 15 that can't really speak the language. Would you agree?
Hold on a second.
Okay. And
go ahead.
Oh, no. And no, I just wanted to say that, I'm just going off these numbers, which kind of makes sense to kind of what Doc was saying, looking at the numbers, they kind of, those add up to what Doc's numbers are, as far as the.
Hold on, I'm trying to find. No,
go ahead. It's all good. I think while you're looking, I do think another reason that the Somali community here in America is getting a lot of hate, because you got to think that yes, Minnesota has the largest amount of Somalians that are here, but there are other places where they're at. There's Ohio, there's in California, and Trump isn't attacking any of those places. It's strictly Minnesota, and I think a big part of that is because of Omar.
Yeah, there's not many in California.
There's not many, but the second highest is Ohio.
Yeah, and that's the only one with another really good group. But oh my goodness, let's see.
He's had it in for Minnesota in general since a certain summer. So
yeah.
Well, him and Omar, and then also, what's his name? Waltz. He's from there.
So, again, Minnesota was at the center of a certain summer of events that happened that he was not fond of, that may have contributed to him losing an election. And so,
go further with that. What do you mean?
I'm talking about the George Floyd.
Okay. You're talking about the George. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He's had it in for Minnesota for a while. He does not like them. It's what he would probably term as an Antifa stronghold or whatever. So he wants an excuse to send both the Guard and ICE and whoever else he can into Minnesota, Minneapolis specifically. So.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense, man.
Well, this is what worries me, guys. First of
out
all,
loud.
like I said before on the last podcast, Trump is unprecedented. We've never had Trump before, and he gets away with a lot of stuff. Like I don't know if we would have accepted this type of behavior and language from any other president. I don't know if we would have accepted it. So what scares me is that, I just don't want his mentality to spread to people, because he's going to be gone in a few years, and then, we got to go back to regular life, without the Trump show. And what scares me is, if you set a precedence of, the leader of the free world talking about people like that, it gives other people an open door, and that's dangerous, because they're not going to get the pass that he's getting. If they come outside and talk crazy like this, they're not going to get the pass that he's getting. You know what I mean? You can Somalia bash all you want. He can. But if you go outside and do that, somebody could hurt you. It's just, I don't like, with him doing it, it kind of, it makes the emboldeningness more, it makes it bigger, it makes it just, I'm just scared of the repercussions of his speeches, even though, like I said, we're just used to it. We're numb to it. Nobody goes when he says it anymore, because he's reached the pinnacles of it. Like I said, he curses, and he talks like he's at a bar and he's talking to the press. So like we're not shell shocked by his speeches anymore. But what I'm saying is,
I didn't like what he did at all.
But did it shock you?
Did it shock me?
Yeah, like were you like, oh, I can't believe he said that? Like you.
Well, actually, I was kind of like, I can't believe he's going that far. Is what I was thinking. I think he's gotten. President. I think he's getting more comfortable with it.
No, you're right, Doc.
He doesn't have a reason not to be. He's a lame duck president with nothing to lose.
Yeah,
except for the midterm elections. He had a diatribe about S-hole countries in his first term. What was it? 8 years ago, with the travel bans, and he put a lot of brown countries on the travel ban. He called them S-hole countries and said that people don't need to be traveling here from these countries. So this is deja vu. Again, it's part of the agenda. We don't really have a reason to be talking about Somalia. You can fill in the blank with a dozen other countries with similar socioeconomic statuses, with similar minority percentage of the people that come here committing crimes, and have the same discussion. If Somalia was South Africa and they had white Somalians, he would be rigging the visa system so that the white Somalians could come, just like he wants the white South Africans to come and not the black South Africans. There's nothing there. This is red herring. This is a scapegoat. Somalia is getting scapegoated for no bigger reason than Ilhan Omar doesn't hold her tongue and goes toe to toe with Trump issues every day.
What about the fraud?
As I said, there's Nigerian scamsters that do fraud. You can name every country, and then there's going to be a subset of them that are scammers and fraudsters. If you want to hold that up as
I don't disagree
for why we're talking about Somalia right now.
No, I think that is why we're talking about Somalia right now. I think that's exactly one of the reasons why he's bringing it up right now, is because that has come out that there was all kinds of the fraud. That's been actually known for a while, but I think because it's come out in the news, it gives him the ability to come forth and say the things that he's saying, because people will buy it. All right. Rather than, he could have said this about Somalia a long time ago. Why now? It's because of the fraud thing coming out.
It's media manipulation, which means, again, it's agenda. It's agenda.
You just nailed it on the head, Nancy.
It's also the media's agenda.
You just nailed it on the head, Nancy. This is the squirrel shit I tell y'all about, man. He's pointing to the squirrel. We're supposed to look. We're supposed to look at the squirrel over here because something else is going on. Oh, Epstein. Oh, his pictures came out. Look, man, this is
I don't
it's
even think
so.
it's Epstein.
I think he got to get. I mean, what I'm saying, I'm not for sure it's Epstein either. I'm just saying this is such a nothing burger, whatever you guys call it, nothing burger. Like Doc said, I think, this is a play on something else. Like, I don't think,
He's trying
Well,
to say the Democratic Party. This is also ties back into politics because Waltz is the governor. They did nothing. They didn't take care of the issue, and they're using that to try to hurt the Democratic Party. It's very political. Then they use the Somalians. It just is another way to say, oh, look, we have all these people coming in, and look what they do. And the Democrats don't do anything about it. They just let them do it. He's trying to make the Democrats look a certain way through all of this as well. It is not just simply, I want to be mean to Somalia. I think it's got a political tie into it by trying to make the Democrats look very bad on crime, abuse, waste, and all those things. It just all ties in together for him. That's my opinion.
Just slightly off of Chalo's point, he's always had a bit of a flood the zone strategy where anything he can seize on, he's going to dump it all over social media and the media. And so he will take 13 things like this at once. And I do think there is an element of distraction from what they are actually trying to do. So this is part of that flood the zone strategy where they do the same thing with government where they took Doge and just broke a bunch of shit. And it would take years to repair that. So it's part of the flood the zone strategy.
And it's crazy to me because, yes, what happened over in Minnesota and the fraud, I'm not, agreeing with at all. And I think it was a terrible thing. But when you look at all the fraud that happened with the COVID funds throughout the years, I mean, there was tons of fraud, PPP loans. I mean, yes, this might be the biggest one. I think this one's at 250 million. But I mean, there's only about 50 to 60, maybe 70 people that are indicted on there, and there's about 80,000 Somalians there.
It's 86. And the head person is a white person from the United States.
Yeah, no, so that's what I'm saying.
Which doesn't get mentioned.
Right. Well, no, because it doesn't fit the agenda. It doesn't fit the narrative that he wants to promote. That his narrative is that look at these dirty Somalians over here that are leeching out our government and stealing our funds. That's his narrative. That's his sole narrative, and that's why he seized on this. This was perfect for him, and it happened to be in Ilhan Omar's state, so that made it even better. It was a double-edged sword for him. So, yeah, there was tons of fraud and waste for the COVID funds. There's plenty of other things that, if everyone's talking about fraud and waste, I mean, there's plenty of other things that you can grasp on when it comes to that. This just happens to be the most recent, and this was the largest. I will say that. It was the largest that they found.
Yeah. But I really believe that this is a political thing for him because Ilhan Omar is a political adversary. Walz was a political adversary. Minnesota is Democratic run. And he uses this as a perfect way because Republicans aren't doing too hot. Okay, so he's got to rebuild the reason to vote Republican. So I think that's all part of it.
Yeah, it's fear mongering. I mean, you gotta make a bad guy. The easiest people to make the bad guy right now are immigrants. And that's what they're doing with the whole ICE raid. They're doing with anybody.
Yeah. But it's also how the Democrats are handling it. He always brings it back to that. He's talked about how the Democrats let these things happen, how they do this, how they do that. He always ties it back into the party. If you don't just take clips, if you actually look at everything he's saying, he's always tying it back into the Democratic Party. And this is why you don't want them, and this is why you need Republicans. And he is on a new what do you call it? He's realizing that the Republicans are losing ground now. So he is on a new way to try to vilify the Democrats and make the Republicans look good, to ignore the problems that the Republicans are having and put the focus back on what the Democrats have done.
The problem they're having, the Republicans, is they're not him. Without him, they're nothing.
I know.
And this is the problem they're going to have. What a lot of them don't understand, and you watch what happens when he's not president anymore, and people aren't, he's not even in the equation anymore. Those people are not going to get reelected because they didn't have balls. They didn't have balls. They just did exactly what he said for those 8 years he was in there. They did exactly what he said. They had no balls. They did nothing. And so, like, now that his term is over, and you accept it, like, because if you love Trump, you accept that anyway, whatever. But now that he's not in there, like, I don't know if you're the senator for me, or you're the what else, House or Congressman for me. I don't know no more, because you really don't got balls. You did whatever he said. Like, Republicans really aren't judged on who they are right now. It's just their connection to Trump. If you notice, they all try to lock in with him, and if they don't lock in with him, they really don't win their state or whatever faction they're trying to win. Without his support, they usually don't win it.
He really hasn't anointed a successor, because just my theory on the psychology of Donald J. Trump, that would threaten him.
He would never, or if he gave you that power, you'd owe him your life.
He loves having incompetent lackeys like Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem, and he likes having a schemer like Stephen Miller, but he hasn't appointed a successor, because somebody that could achieve the power that he has within the GOP would be a threat to him. So the people that he's put beside him or really under him are clowns. So what comes after Trump is an incredible question to me.
I don't think the people under him are any worse than under any other administration, depending on the position. I don't like Hegseth. I don't like Hegseth. But I mean, he's got Rubio. Other people have been doing fine in their positions. Kristi Noem is
Ice Barbie.
No, she's tough. She's a tough person. I don't.
Cosplayer.
Huh?
She's a cosplayer.
I don't know what that is.
I feel like this is not the podcast to explain what cosplaying is.
So it's people that dress up as certain. Okay, so you know what I mean. You got
oh,
you got Comic-Con.
Cosplay.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
They dress up as Superman or something. You know what I mean when they go to these things. But yeah, no, and I feel like I do think that I don't think that the Republican Party is that dumb. I don't think that they're dumb enough to not have somebody in the wing ready for when Trump goes. They know this is going to end. You know what I mean? I don't think they're that stupid. I think
Trump has to support him.
But I think,
it's not about stupid versus smart. It's about power, and they are too greedy to just pass the power down to one person. There's going to be an all-out primary battle. We're going to see 10 to 15 men and women on that stage at the Republican debates. Everyone's going to throw their hat in.
What about Democrats?
Same thing. Yeah. There's no front runner. It is going to be the wildest political season and election we've ever seen.
Yeah,
I would say Newsom and Buttigieg are probably front runners right now. Not that I like them. Buttigieg, I'm okay with. I don't like Gavin Newsom, but they're pretty clear front runners at the moment, if you ask me.
What about Shapiro?
There's going to be 10 people on those stages.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be 10 people on both stages, both sets, 10 plus. It's going to be wild.
It'll be interesting to have a real election though too,
yeah.
Because I was looking, when the Republicans did their the primaries, where they're all supposed to be going against each other, and they would all go against each other, but not against Trump. You're supposed to go against him too. That's the whole thing.
You're on the stage half of the time.
Yeah, you're going for the nominee, and it's they would when it came to him, they would stop. Hold on, bro. How did any of y'all think y'all are gonna get elected if you don't come at him too? You're tearing each other's eyeballs out, but you leave him alone. And he's part of the running too. And
Yeah.
Vivek basically ran his campaign for him because he didn't want to show up to the debate.
like you have Vivek, what's his name, Ramaswamy. I mean,
Yeah,
that dude.
he
I don't know what he
ran
was.
Trump's campaign for him because Trump didn't want to show up to the debate.
Basically, all of them
So
except for
Vivek
Chris
just-
Christie was like their
Yeah.
whole debate when they would debate each other, and they basically glazed Trump. All of them would glaze Trump except for Christie. You know, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, aren't all of you guys running for president? Why are you why are you even running? Why don't you just get on this campaign team? Because that's all you guys are doing.
Because
You
they
know?
were running for vice president. They weren't running for president. The
Yeah.
writing was on the wall.
Sure.
Yeah.
Trump won. They were running for vice president, and they all
Also-
lost.
Yeah. And also, if you go against Trump, he has a way of diminishing you.
Yeah, but then you shouldn't run. Like, I mean, like the whole process was kind of like wishy. Like, why are you guys even there? Like, you should just give them the thing, give it to them. Like, say, here,
I
man,
told
we
you
not.
why they were there. They were running for vice
Yeah,
president.
it was getting.
It was
you know,
already done. It was a done deal. They were on
Stupid.
stage auditioning for vice presidency. I've explained it.
It was
That's what was
it was a
going on.
real mockery.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so I'm just wondering, like, without him, what the whole setup is going to look like. Because I mean, shoot, dude, he's been in the last 3 elections. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so used to it now. I'm just wondering what it's going to be like. Like, because are they going to have a brain of their own? Is basically what I'm trying to say. Is I'm just wondering how the Republicans are going to come at this. The Democrats too, but like theirs is more of a selection of a person. They don't have to really change their personality. They are who they are.
do,
Like
but
yeah, I mean they do, but what I'm saying is the Republicans' personality is Trump. So like now, once he's removed from it, then who are you? You know, I'm interested to see what image they take on. You know,
Yeah.
I think that with Trump, though, you got to remember that he's set like an interesting precedent. You know, like you said, he's one of the few presidents that's able to say some of the things that he says in the way that he says it. He's pushed the envelope and everything. I mean, when it comes to politics and policy and everything like that. So I think that the next Republican, what they're going to do is they're going to try and tap that base. That base is still going to be there. Trump might not be there, but that Trump base is going to be there. So all that rhetoric that he was talking about, that he talks, and all that those words that he says, you're going to find somebody's going to want to tap that base. They're going to do the exact same thing, and they're going to emulate him. And I think that's what's going to happen. Just because Trump goes away doesn't mean that the Trump actually goes away, you know, because I think that's going to be here to stay for a while within the Republican Party.
I don't know.
I do
kind
think
of,
he's infected the party, but I don't think you'll have the same cult of personality. Sorry.
No, absolutely not. No, you won't have that because you can only get that with him. But what I'm saying is that, you know, like you said, he's the flying ointment. It's going to take a while before you don't see that again. You know, I mean, he has definitely put his name on that party and gave them a identity. You know, a new identity, which is the next person is going to want to tap into that. Is going to have to take that identity in order to get that base and to get those votes. So I don't think, even though Trump's gone, I don't think Trump's really going to be gone. That's what
I can say I think a lot of people like certain things about Trump, but a lot of them don't like the way he talks. A lot of people don't. They like the policies that he tried to implement or implemented, or the ideas that he had, but they didn't necessarily like his language. I know a lot of people like that. I know a lot of people who simply hate Trump because of his language and don't even pay attention to anything that he tries to do as well. So he is one of those personalities. He's a one in a lifetime type of politician. Well, I don't think we're ever going to see anyone like him again.
God,
And nobody will be able to get the base the way he did, his base. But they may bring some Republicans back.
I think the division is we're so divided now. I don't think it'd be hard to capture the base anymore. I think the divide is that big now. You know what I mean? Everybody's on their side. I mean, yes, you do have some independents, but that base isn't going anywhere. They are strictly going to be voting Republican from here on out until they die. But I have a quick question. I do want to bring this back around real quick because Charles, you said something interesting in the beginning when we were just started this discussion, and you were talking about, you kind of agreed with some of the things he was saying. I want, can you go a little bit deeper into that? Because I know me and you, we go back and forth on immigration before, but I want to know, what did you mean by that, man?
Well, you know what I'm saying. It's about, I'm more into the immigration use of resources. You know what I mean? When you bring these, when you bring any, and I'm not even talking just Somalians, I'm just talking about immigrants, period. When you have an immigration, it's like, what's the other guy that was on the podcast with us last night? Not last night, last week. He was talking too, and he was saying the use, like they have to be able to self-support or have somebody to support them. We have too many immigrants, I think, coming over without that support system. And so they're using up some of the resources that we should be using for our own economically challenged people in this nation. I think the money should go there instead of bringing people over and paying for that. I do agree with that. Like, if you're not going to contribute, like if you come over here and you ain't got no job or nothing, like you coming over here to try to make it, I don't know. I mean, I think it should be a limit to that.
I agree.
But when you're an immigrant, you come over here, you really don't have any ties. You don't really have any opportunity. You're coming over here to make it. You might come here. You hear the story all the time. My dad had $5 in his pocket, and he started working this or something like that. So that's that to me was all part of
it. Right. Well, hold on. But stop right there, because I want you to continue with that. So what I'm saying is, right, exactly right. So why should the U.S. government put you on a program to help you get on your feet when I'm over here and I don't got nothing either, and you don't have a program for me?
I think the problem is that people think that that is one or the other. It doesn't have to be one or the other. We can help immigrants and help ourselves at the same time. Immigrants aren't the problem. They're not the ones that are taking resources from us. If you really want to know who's taking the resources, just look at the top 1%. You're not even the top 1%, but the top 1%
you can't
of the 1%.
Say that, Rashawn. So, you can't say that, bro.
How?
Because listen, if I say Rashawn, I'm gonna give you $100,000 to take care of this. If you give half of it or any of it to the immigrants, you're taking away from what I gave you to pay for the you got to take, the money is set. If you take any of that money and give it to them, you are taking away.
But what I'm saying is, you're saying that we don't have the resources to do both, and we do. It's just that we don't put the resources or use the resources in a way that benefits both. We have the resources, Charles. We're one of the richest countries in the world. You know what I mean? So
we are. We ain't. We the most indebted country in the world.
I think I mentioned this last time, is that with it becomes kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they can come into the country, but then we don't want to let them work. We don't want to give them licenses. We have policies. Let me put it this way. I certainly don't want to cast all South American or Mexican immigrants as people that pick crops, but you have people coming in decent numbers from those areas that are skilled agriculture workers, and they come up here and do agriculture work that Americans don't want those jobs, and they do the work, and then people complain about it and say, we can't let them do that work anymore. And you're seeing some of this kind of cycling as the Trump admin carries on and says, you can't do that work. There's nobody to do the work. So there are plenty of hardworking people coming from other countries who are skilled in various things, and they are getting here, and you have politicians saying, well, you're here, but we ain't going to let you work. And they end up on welfare, and they end up going to states that will give them the welfare. So again, you end up with a self-fulfilling prophecy there.
Well, part of that is, go ahead. You go ahead.
They do the work at pennies on the dollar. So they do the work that
there you go.
Don't want to do.
They shouldn't have to, but
they do it at pennies on the dollar.
There you go.
And they're doing it year after year. And if they need assistance to do the jobs that no one else will do, that they're being paid much less to do, the assistance that you're saying that they may receive with different programs is simply subsidizing the pay that they're not getting because they're doing work at lower rates than than citizens would do it. So the support that's out there for immigrants who are fitting that category, I don't have an issue with. I see Rashawn's point that if they wanted to take money away from subsidizing certain things and putting into making lives better for people, that makes sense. We subsidize crops, we subsidize farmers. We're paying for the food already. Our tax dollars are subsidizing these things, and then they turn around and then they're not using it to feed the people who are hungry. If we're subsidizing half of the crops, there shouldn't be anybody hungry in this country.
True.
Yeah, I could go with that.
True.
To
But
me,
but I have one problem though with this, with the whole they do the jobs that nobody wants to do. What I think, nobody wants to pick strawberries for fucking $2. That's what
Exactly.
it is. You pay a working wage like the rest of the country for picking your crops, and instead of paying pennies, then I mean okay, yeah, as a farmer you wouldn't make as much money. Yeah. But like to say that they do jobs that no one else do, no one else wants to go out in the hot sun and pick crops for $2. You got to pay a real wage. Farmers don't pay that. They don't pay you $25 an hour to pick crops. So
Will they pay you 15? That seems to be kind of our baseline for a living wage right now. It's not.
you're West Coast, brother. Everything you got is double.
I'm East Coast.
No, but Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Jim, Massachusetts.
but
yeah, I mean, I'm down here in Florida. I mean, they're picking strawberries for nothing.
they
ain't making a fortune. They're not, they're not, be able to bring the whole family over on what they're making picking oranges and stuff.
But if they do that, if they do those jobs at living wages, then they all become tax-paying working citizens. So
if they had a living wage, I don't think those jobs would be available.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that the jobs that we say that they do that no one else wants to do, I don't think those jobs would be available if they paid real money.
I see a little of that, but I don't think you're going to have a ton of naturalized Americans that were all born here suddenly lining up to pick strawberries in the 95-degree weather.
Man, if the price is right, I know some guys that'll go out there and get it done.
They work construction in the 95-degree weather.
I think the bigger problem is we're okay with exploiting their labor. That's what we're doing.
That's the problem.
We're exploiting their labor, but we're not.
Exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. You should make the farmer. You should make the farmer. If they're going to work on you should make them pay a living wage. And then if you still want to hire all Mexicans or whatever from across the border, have that.
Well, I don't want to.
Like I said, those jobs wouldn't be available. Yeah, but those jobs, I'm just being real. Those jobs wouldn't be available if they paid real money.
And there's not that many jobs in the grand scheme of things, really.
And then the thing that gets me too, and this is kind of where I'm gonna push back on you, Charles, is you talk about how they leech off the government and everything like that, but I don't ever see that the immigrants. You saying like how immigrants.
I didn't say they leech off the government.
Not leech. I'm sorry. Okay, well you said that they.
You said it wasn't taken away from anyone.
Okay, so you said
yes. If they have a set lot. You said immigrants helping immigrants wouldn't take away from helping the poor over here already. And I was saying, yes, well, if you have a set amount of money in a fund to take care of something and you take some of that money out to help immigrants, you are taking away from, citizens. That's the point I was making. I didn't say it was leeching off us or nothing.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Don't try to paint me out for the bad guy. Not on this one. I'll take my bad guy.
I stand corrected. But
I'll take my bad guy moments anytime, but not this one.
You're right. I stand corrected. But what I was going to say is that, then you have these big, huge mega corporations like Walmart, right? And when they come into a place, it's no different. So what they do is that they take employees and they actually educate them on how to get government assistance because they're not going to pay for it. They're not going to give enough hours to so that people can get health insurance, or they're not going to pay a living wage. So you got like these mega corporations doing that. And to me, I feel like, okay, so now you're making a new poor class. That's like the poor that you're talking about. So I feel like when you say that we don't have enough resources, we do. It's just that we don't push, we don't put the resources where they need to be, and we don't push companies to do the right thing by the people that they are hiring that we already have. So there isn't a new poor, because it actually costs neighborhoods, communities, and states money to have a Walmart in there. It costs money because they don't pay, they don't give out their, they don't give enough hours for the health insurance, so these people are forced to live off the state. So you have that going on too. So
you're right, but and especially working in the food service business, you understand about hours, right? And how they cut you off just right before they have to do this, and they cut so they don't have to pay you benefits. But you got to think about this. Even though they're cutting you off part-time, they got somebody else who has a job because they're not giving you full-time.
no, Walmart is rich, man. They could pay their people if they wanted to pay them, man.
I know what I'm saying.
I'm talking about
somebody
Walmart,
else.
like that.
Yeah, Walmart is one of the biggest employers in the United States.
Yeah, you got a lot of places.
Right,
Amazon,
but what
you got a
I'm
lot of
saying
places
is,
like that.
if I'm paying you 37, 0.5 hours, I still got to have somebody else to work those other hours. So what I'm saying is, somebody else has a job too.
They gave you the
So you
system.
can look at it either way. You
I
can
agree,
look
the
at
game in the
it.
system.
The game in the system. They could hire somebody working 40 hours two times.
You don't
They have
get
the money
rich
for
not
that.
game. You don't get rich not gaming the system.
They are more than rich, brother. Amazon, Walmart, those people like that, man,
Of
they are more
course
than
they
rich.
are. Of course they are.
They could pay their employees. They could pay 40 hours a week. They could provide health
What-
insurance.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're
The
pushing so hard?
thing is,
They could have
you
more
don't
than
get to
2
decide
registers,
that.
though.
Exactly.
The only way you can decide that is if you decide not to shop with them. That's the only way you have a say so in what they pay their people. That's the only way you can make a difference as far as that goes. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that they could pay they could pay their employees, give them 40 hours. They can give them health insurance if they wanted to. They don't do that because they're gaming the system, all because of the profits. And the people that hurts is us. And instead of us being mad at them, they got you looking at immigrants. You know what I mean? When really we should be mad at them. Immigrants aren't the problem. It's people like them. It's corporations like them. That's where we should be focused on.
They're
But
all part of the problem. It's all part of the problem.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, you could say that the cost of insurance is part of the reason Walmart does what it does, because cost of insurance to insure a person is probably 2/3 of what they're being paid. All right. Cost of insurance is outrageous. It's like probably about $15,000 per person. So you want to take someone who's a cashier, and they're going to have to pay them $15 an hour. And we're talking pretty basic job here. That's a no-skill job. And then you have to pay $15,000 a year to insure them as well as a company, because they're an employer of so many people. They fall under that category. They're going to manipulate it so they don't have to pay that extra money. If there were different ways of handling, and that would be extremely expensive. I couldn't say, like, I don't even know how many employees Walmart has, but if you take that number, if you assume they were full-time employees, take that times the $15,000, that cuts dramatically into their profits. It also will affect their stock value and so on and so forth. So everything is like all tied in together. If they had different types of insurance plans, if you didn't have to have, head to toe coverage, and they had to insure for certain things, that would probably change. They would probably adjust that. But businesses are in the business to make profit.
Plenty of businesses that pay better than Walmart are offering lower cost, high deductible plans to employees, and a lot of employees in less enviable economic situations are taking those high deductible plans because their employee contribution is significantly lower. So you have that. I'm not saying it's good, it's bad, it sucks, but there are ways that companies are using to skirt some of those insurance.
Right, but I think the larger companies have higher requirements of what they have to offer their employees. I don't remember all the details, but I think if you are if you have a certain number of employees, you have to offer insurance, but you don't have to pay for it. Okay. Then, if you're at another level, you have to offer it and pay part of it. I'm not sure how the scheme goes for the more employees, but I do think that's part of the issue.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is a lot of employers do have those rules, but they're able to skirt it by offering the high deductible plan.
Right.
Where both the employee and the employer contribution is significantly lower. And a lot of those employees will take it because the contribution is lower, even though they have this gigantic deductible.
Yeah, and it's awful too because they can't afford the high deductibles if they were to get sick.
That's why I don't take it. But
yeah. You know,
you're gonna stop messing with Walmart, Rashawn.
I don't mess with Walmart, man.
Hey, let me tell you this. Real talk, though. One of the richest customers I ever had was a cashier from Walmart. She was a millionaire. Worked at Walmart like 18 years, 20 years or something like that as a cashier, and she was a millionaire.
Like a stock option or something?
Yeah, they gave them all stock options. And she cashed out. Yeah, she was a millionaire, dude. From being a cashier, never went, no manager, nothing. Cashier, brother. Yeah. So I mean, it's just the company. Like you say that, like Walmart could pay more. Yeah, every company could pay more. They could, dude, because they choose not to. I mean, that's on them. If you disagree with it, like I was saying, like if it's that much of an issue, then you should boycott Walmart. People should boycott Walmart. They shouldn't work there.
No, my point of just bringing up Walmart was to use them as an example as to why we're always looking at immigrants as the issue, and they're not always the issue. I don't even think they're a large part of the issue. The issue is people like Walmart. That's why I brought that issue. That's why I brought that up in the first place. We look at like social welfare, but we don't look at corporate welfare and the amount of corporate welfare that goes on and how we subsidize these businesses just to exist, or how much money they get from the government and everything. We're so focused on, the young mom that's out there with their kids, just trying to feed her kids, when really, we should be focused on the Elon Musks of the world, who are billionaires, who get billions of dollars just from our government. You know what I mean? And in order for them to do that, they have to have another bad guy. They have to have you look at somebody else as the bad guy. And immigrants are those people now. That's what I think the issue is. And I think that a lot of us are falling for that. And really, that's just, like you said, hey, look over there. When it's really them robbing the bank.
Not even look over there, man. It's hard to see what's done in the dark.
Squirrel.
I mean, these companies, they pay millions to lobbyists to make the rules the way they need the rules to be. And all that's done behind closed doors. It's all in the dark. We can't focus on that. It's all being done behind our backs. Pharmacy benefit managers. All the deals that determine how much we pay for our medicine is all done in the dark. And we don't hear about it until years later. But this is all said and done. It's in ink. It's done. So it's not that, we're choosing to not see it. It's done behind closed doors. We can't see it. All the people that make all the decisions for all of us are all making those decisions behind our backs and closed doors, miles away, in conferences we don't have access to. And I don't know that choosing to not buy stuff from Walmart, when most people don't have good options outside of Walmart to get stuff, solves the issue. It's politics. We have to get people who are beholden to the people and political power to take back, to make things better.
No, I agree with that 100%. Honestly, I do. I agree with that 100%. And I think that, it's going to take people educating themselves on a lot more of these issues and not falling for the red herrings and stuff like that that's out there. So I think that's what's happening now. I think that there is a divide that's being created on purpose As long as you keep us divided, fighting over like little, scraps from a table, we're never gonna get a seat at that table. And that's what we do. We fight amongst ourselves. And when, because the greatest threat to them is a unified working class, a class like us people like that, having conversations like this.
Let me ask you this. I'm back on the Walmart thing.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel, I'll use another example. Let's say I own a company and I come to your town and I hire pretty much 90% of that town. Do you feel like I should pay taxes?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I hire 90%, I'm responsible for 90% of the income of your town.
Okay, so do the people have to pay taxes that are hired?
What people?
Your workers.
They pay
their property taxes and stuff. Yeah.
So then, yeah.
And I'm giving them. They're paying it with my money.
So yes,
they're paying it with my money, Rashawn.
So I think you look at it like you. So you look at
it like that, and no one will ever be in your town. You'll never have a town.
Stop. Wait, here, hold on. You're looking at it like this job came into a town and gave everybody a gift. A job can't be a job without workers. It's not a gift. You know what I mean? Without labor, a labor force, or anything like that, that job would never exist. That's not a gift to the people of the town. The town is a gift to the corporation, because they're the ones that are through their sweat and through their labor is helping that business grow. That's my opinion. So yes, that
it's both.
Have you ever seen what happens to a town when the majority, its biggest employer leaves? Have you ever seen what happens to it?
Absolutely.
Gary, Indiana. Have you ever seen why does it turn into a burn down nothing then? If it's not important, why does that town so why would you'd rather them have to pay tax? Just listen, you'd rather them have to pay tax and not get that benefit of them hiring your whole town. You'd rather make them pay tax than have them hire 90% of your town and provide that income. So everything's even.
No,
I asked, would you make them pay tax if they came in your town and hired?
I think a business.
That's not how it works. Yes. No, that's not how it works. When businesses, that's how you bring business. Rashawn, look at any like small town politics. That's how you bring business to the city. You have to give them some kind of tax. No, you have to give them some kind of tax benefit to come do business in your town. That you have to make your town more presentable than the next town.
It's a competition.
You will not get that business. You will be Gary, Indiana. You will be Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're talking. Tax breaks. Yes, I get what you're saying about tax breaks. But you're saying you're saying that they should pay any taxes? No, I don't. Absolutely, they should pay taxes.
Everybody.
I know. Business. Well, you did.
Yeah, I was. That's what they do. You don't pay city tax. You don't pay property tax. You don't pay all those taxes. Yeah, you don't pay those.
Yes, they get tax breaks. I understand that. I understand that concept. But what I'm saying is that
you think that's wrong?
I didn't say tax breaks were wrong. You asked me, do you think they should pay any taxes? I said yes. You didn't say tax breaks. You didn't. I meant
for the city. I didn't mean in general. Like as a they don't do it anyway. After you get through with their write-offs, they don't do it anyway. But I was saying from the town aspect of the town taxing them, like how you pay to live where you live. Businesses pay tax. You got to get a business license. You pay taxes. You pay county taxes. If you got a certain license, you pay taxes on that license. A lot of stuff. If you bring your company to my town, I'll negate all that because you're going to employ people in my town. You might bring people from other towns to come shop in my city. It's all kind of benefits that'll outweigh that tax you trying to get to make everything fair. Is what I'm saying.
I would say that when you do too much of that, those businesses then become a drain on the community.
I mean, it can be abused. Everything can be abused.
Yeah, we see examples of like Amazon coming into communities and getting all these breaks and then employing people at poverty wages, and they're all on welfare. They're all the working poor, and you become a community of the working poor, and the company is not paying taxes. And that becomes a drain on your community, a drain on your state, and a drain on your country.
But when you say poverty wage, we have a minimum wage that's set. Like
The minimum wage is a poverty wage in my state.
right. So when a company pays you over that, that's by choice, correct?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so if I work in your if I'm hiring in your state, right? And I say you can come, I hire you to work for me, there's a minimum wage that I have to pay you. Okay. Anything over that is my choice. And it's your choice whether or not you want to accept it. We always have that choice.
In your example, if you come in and hire 90% of the population and chase out all the other businesses, and then you say that, and by the way, it's my choice to only pay you $1 above minimum wage, so that's what you're getting, and 90% of your community has to accept that, you are becoming a drain on that community, particularly if you're not paying freaking taxes.
Can I pop in for a second? My grandson actually works for Amazon, and he makes great money. So I don't know. I mean, he works in a warehouse, and he makes well over minimum wage. So I think there are stories around about what people are getting paid, but I don't know if they're accurate. He works in the Charlton warehouse.
My son works for Amazon. I'm sorry, I have a son that works for Amazon as well in the warehouse.
Yeah. Does he get over minimum wage?
They get over minimum wage, but at the same time, it's not, to me, I feel like it's not a wage that they could, live
no, my grandson's 19. He doesn't need to make a family's income.
Yeah.
So he's I mean, to him, I bet he's making good money.
It's not enough for him to live, get an apartment, be self-sufficient yet. No, not by himself.
By himself, no. But most people don't start off by themselves when they're young. They get a roommate, they get a couple roommates, and they get a place to live. I mean, we're all expecting everyone's we don't even have enough housing for everyone to get their own place by themselves. It's not realistic to use that as a standard because it's not reality. Reality is younger people tend to get apartments with their friends. All right. So they split the cost of the apartment and they split the cost of the bills. So they don't need to be making the wage of a married a single, like a father providing for his family or a mother providing for a family. It's not the same thing. Yeah, so I mean,
a living wage should be a living wage.
Yes.
Well, it is a living wage if you're sharing. It is a living wage if you're sharing an apartment with someone.
What if you don't have that choice, though?
Most people do.
And you got to think, a lot of these people aren't kids working in these warehouses. These are grown adults. These are 40, 50-year-old
Some
people.
of them, but I don't know. I don't understand why people can't. I think the price of housing has gone up unbelievably. I think that's a problem. But it got inflated dramatically over the past, since COVID. It got dramatically inflated. It wasn't like that before. It was not nearly as bad.
It has been for quite a while. It's been well over a decade that an apartment in Massachusetts has been completely unaffordable on significantly more than that $15 an hour minimum wage. Like, you cannot get a one-bedroom apartment in Massachusetts for probably less than, I would say, $26, $27 at the moment if you want to move somewhere. Going to say sketchy, but
no. If you want to live in along Boston and around surrounding towns, that may be so, but not out here, not near Worcester.
I mean, we
like
could totally
that.
spin off on this conversation, but
yeah, this is so far from Somalia.
Yeah, we went way out there, but on the real estate side, it's the interest rates. The interest rates are so high because, see, like, you got to understand, a landlord isn't in it for the quick money, the flip money. He's in it for the long haul. So his money comes from he has most of the time a mortgage on it, and then he charges rent. There's a gap in between there, and that's his money.
That's part of it.
The higher the interest rate, the higher his mortgage is, and it's not actually in the cost of the house; it's in the interest on the house. You see what I'm saying? So he has to charge more because he wants to keep that cushion, to where it is to make it worth even doing. You know what I mean? And the interest rates have jumped so high it's not worth doing.
Yes,
To a lot of them.
but the rent started going up prior to the interest rates really going up. I'm a landlord, and like I try to keep my rent reasonable, but I'm going to have to increase my rent on. I'm fixing the place up now, and I'm going to get a new tenant. But to cover the costs of fixing the place, I need to raise the rent from what I was currently getting in order to survive. So I'm retired now, so I don't have my business going anymore. So yeah, my rent's going to go up, but I'm still going to be less expensive than what a lot of other people are charging, because I do like.
Yeah, I'm a landlord too, and what you're running into is a lot of corporations are mass buying
Yes.
rental properties. Like, you tired of your property, and they'll come buy it, and they're, if they're in control of 30 houses in a 20-30 mile radius, then they're setting the market, and it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yep. No, I get you. But it's bad. I mean, it really is. It's the cost of housing is unbelievable. It went up since COVID. It's gone up dramatically, like at least $1,000.
Glad to have you back, Rashawn. You wanna take us out of here, man? We're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this whole discussion began with immigration and immigrants and everything like that, and I still stand by the fact that I feel like they're being scapegoated. I think most people coming here, they come here for various reasons. I do believe that a lot of the immigration problem is something that has been, it's maybe chickens coming home to roost, maybe you could say. It's problems that we have created overseas and in these other people's countries. And we've destabilized governments. We have toppled democracies. And now we're all shocked that these people are coming at our door because they want to live somewhere safe. I think that's incredibly crazy to me. But to bring it all back, to bring it all home and everything like that, I think that people need to understand and realize that immigrants aren't the bad guys here. They aren't the people that we should be looking at. These are people that are coming here. They're hard workers. They're just looking for a chance. The people we should be looking at are the ones that are already in power. And that's who we should be putting our time and effort into changing. But yeah, that's what I would leave with. That'd be my message to the world on immigrants and immigration.
Doc, what you got?
It was a good talk. Thank you guys for inviting me on. I think we had an interesting discussion about what's fed to us through the media about immigration. It opens your eyes as to what you need to look at the history and see what immigrants, the phases that have come through this country and how they were all treated and mistreated, because you'll find that nearly every immigrant class suffered some discrimination and mistreatment over decades. And this, we're just in the latest phase. And like she was saying, it takes time for generations to assimilate, into the culture and sort of meld and merge traditions. So that the people that we consider immigrants today are going to feel like Americans in 15 years. We won't understand why there was ever an issue, about having these people come to the country. I feel that everyone that comes to the country has the same goal: is to have a better life, is to do better economically and for their family. I feel like 99% of immigrants, that's their goal. I think that the system is. Feel like the system has limits. The system needs to be improved, tweaked, limited, all those things, just so they can work better. But I feel like the root causes of why other people are not successful is not because of immigration. That's a scapegoat.
Okay, Nancy, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think immigration is a hot topic. I do think legal immigration is wonderful. I think it needs to be revamped to make it more effective, so we have less people trying to come here illegally to begin with. What's going on with the Somalians, the majority of them are legal immigrants, and I don't like them being vilified because of the actions of a few or for political purposes. I don't think that's fair or right. I do want to see, I don't mind illegal immigrants being removed from the country. I have certain caveats myself that the government doesn't have. I think that people have been here for probably a decade. If they've been in no trouble and been a contributing factor to society, we should find a way to give them citizenship. I think if they came under when there was little to no vetting going on, I think I have less problems with them being removed. Criminals, 100% glad they're removed. But basically, I think we have to do a total revamp on the immigration system as a whole and correct it at what we allow. And because I think that would address a lot of the other problems.
Okay. Cool, man. Jim, you gotta follow that, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good luck, bro.
I just want to mention, so I don't go viral, that little wormhole I brought us all down with kind of the migrant labor. I am not in a million years suggesting that people should be exploited or utilized for cheap labor. That is only to suggest that the majority of the people coming here want to work and contribute, which is a point that is fought back against by the GOP. Largely, though, I do think that there is very much an agenda at work here. There is a rapidly creeping agenda of white supremacy coming from this administration, and you are seeing populations in countries very strategically attacked based on that agenda. I mentioned it last week. The good doctor also mentioned the white Afrikaners and the fact that they are very openly welcomed with open arms. So there's an agenda at work, and it becomes more obvious every day.
Man, I think that's pretty good. I think you be reading my notes, though, man. You be stealing all my stuff. God. No, man, I guess
You CC me on the email.
yeah, I mean, I ain't got nothing else to say but go Bears. We're gonna get out of here, folks. Thanks for joining us. We have podcast.